Welcome to the JMark Business Innovation Technology Experience.
Okay, thanks for everybody joining us today. For those that are watching us on Facebook or listening during the podcast later, welcome, and we're excited to talk about one of our favorite products, which is Workplace by Facebook. Today we're going to be talking about remote collaboration. How do we use Workplace from Facebook to do more together, especially in this time when we're separated so far apart. We're in, two different states among us three, I guess. The marketing team is operating in 4 states, I think. I always forget, 4 states. And Workplace is a vital tool for us to collaborate. So we've talked a lot about Workplace. Let's just go around. What are some of the favorite things that you do to work with your teams and collaborate? What are some of the features that you've seen just level up your productivity in Workplace?
Ladies first, Kristen. Happy to dive in. We'll let you dive in.
All right. So for me, I typically work in the JMark home office in Springfield, Missouri. So it's been a bit of a shift for me. We utilize Workplace a lot, even being in the office, just for streamlining conversations and sharing content. But I can't imagine how my remote experience would have been without having that platform to communicate with the rest of my team. We get in a habit, because we do all pretty much sit fairly physically close together, that you can just lean over and have a conversation or turn around and have a conversation. But moving to just having those conversations from chat, I can't even begin to imagine not having had a tool like Workplace to be able to leverage during our remote time. We're still working remote, and it's worked really well. I mean, like I said, we used it when we were in the office, but definitely I'd say, probably 90% of the conversations I have throughout the day with my team members occur in Workplace chat.
Yeah, I think when the last I looked at the metrics, we had somewhere around 9,000 chat messages a day going around in Workplace since we've moved to completely working remote as a team. And that is 9,000 messages a day that is not sitting in our email.
Yeah.
Times however many people are getting those emails. It's a massive number.
Absolutely. Well, I think, when you think about getting work done, you get work done in teams, and teams correlate to groups, whether it's a division or a department, that correlates to the groups within Workplace. And so by having a central point of communication within that group, to be able to make sure everybody's on the same page, to go to deposit information, to receive information. And the gift of the environment largely is that you get to consume the information when you want to consume the information, not when someone decides to puke it into your inbox and clutter things up as you have other things going on. And so I think there's kind of a double whammy in terms of productivity that's gained, that if I need to see what's going on within a team, or if I need to share some information with the team, I can put it there, which makes it available, obviously. But really it's around pulling different groups together. And we know organizationally that some of the bigger friction areas within any company is when you transition work from one team to another. So when it goes from sales to service, or service to accounting, or whatever it may be in any organization. But with Workplace, you can pull those groups of people together so that we're all working together and towards the same outcome. So whether that's a group that does just encompass sales, but then when it begins to extend to incorporate service or the admin team, you can create specialized groups to make sure everybody is working together as a larger team to facilitate those outcomes. And so it really is dividing the company into the areas where work gets done so that we can maximize productivity and cohesion around being on the same page. And I think that that's one of the biggest benefits that we've received as an organization over the last several years is getting clarity. We literally went from a perspective on our employee feedback surveys a few years ago where people said, communication, it's our biggest weakness. To the point where our last survey, Todd, as you know, one of the pieces of feedback where it was, I've never been in a company where communication was as good as this one. So I think that stark difference that we've seen, the foundation of it is this platform.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even about, you know, you mentioned about getting work done and how stuff moves from team to team. But one of the cool things that I find in workplace is just the fact that people can be kept up to date. You know, knowing something that's happening in another team can maximize your own work and your own plans because everything is interrelated in this little ecosystem of a company, and everybody's work affects somebody else. And when something's happening in a bubble over there, and then you find out about it later, it's harder to plan ahead. And I find just the sheer sheer amount of information, it can sound overwhelming, but it's so enlightening to me because it brings, like you said, so much clarity.
On that same point too, it kind of helps facilitating taking down some of those barriers that you might find between different departments or teams, just because we don't all communicate the same. And so if you're puking out a bunch of information that seems normal communication style to you in an email, the turnaround time is so much slower if I have to come back to you and say, I don't really understand what you're asking for, versus we can throw that same conversation into chat and I can say immediately, like, can you say that a different way? Or I may not fully understand that process. Can you break that down for me? Just streamlining the communication and making that so much more efficient. Like it tears down those barriers that you may see just naturally between departments. It's pretty awesome.
I was talking with somebody recently where you would think that if you take 9,000 messages and those are sucked out of email, it's still 9,000 messages I'm gonna have to deal with. But the truth is that the dynamics of the communication have changed. So in my case, and I'm sure it's all around, is, you know, messages come through and oftentimes they're quick things you can deal with, and oftentimes there's things that you will deal with, just like as if it were email. And we have a company culture where, you know, people know that, you know, everybody's in meetings and things are happening, and their first priority is not necessarily to answer your chat, but things do tend to get answered a lot quicker. And what I found on the email side is that I still get tons of email. But what it's done for me is it's taken most of the important stuff out of email. So I can scan through literally hundreds of emails very rapidly and go, bam, 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 these three I need to deal with. Whereas before it was mixed in, you know, there were 100 I need to deal with and 200 I didn't need to deal with, and it was just all mixed in. So it's allowed me to reduce the amount of processing time for email to a very small amount, because that communication has moved to chats and groups and stand-ups and video and things like that.
Yeah, I have found a lot more of my email is more longer task oriented. So something I'm probably going to need to schedule out, and that there is a task associated with that request or communication. But a lot of what is hitting in chat seems more conversational. Like, hey, I wanted to make sure you were aware of this, or have you seen this thing, or those type of communications that would have just been another email in your inbox has turned into conversation pieces. And the fact that you can see them all, like, here's the last thing we talked about, which you do get a progression in email, but it is not as conversational as what you get out of chat.
Right.
And I think the tight integration between the chat and then the core platform allows you to take those teams or those groups and instantly turn them into that chat. So whether it's a team chat or whether it's a larger group, or whether you need to reference information in the core platform, hey, I've posted these documents, I've shared this video, hey, there's a link on the how-to in this location. It's a way to quickly have that dialogue and that conversation. And that really does speed up getting work done, because you're getting questions and answers back. You know exactly where to go to get the information you need. And so that accelerates the business. And I think it's really powerful from that perspective. The other thing that I'll point out is I think that the interface itself is pretty powerful. You know, so obviously there's no other platform that has as much consumption in the world as Facebook on a daily basis, with like something 3 billion active users per day, and they're constantly learning how people want to consume technology. So they've taken that platform and they've built it into the workplace environment. And so whether it's on your mobile phone or whether it's on your computer, it makes it really easy to consume information, which is different than email or some other format. You're actually consuming it in an environment or in a format that you enjoy working with.
And I don't want people to think that, well, if they're listening to this or watching, that Workplace by Facebook is just a replacement for email or it's a chat application. It is an entire, communication platform of sorts that, and a lot of people think when we first, when we roll this out, we try to make sure people understand this is not Facebook, but it uses the power of Facebook to create collaboration and do all those great things that Facebook knows how to do. Last week, I actually was on the phone with Michelle, and we were having a one-on-one, Michelle from our marketing team. And on the call, we discovered a feature that neither of us knew about, and we both literally like jumped up like, whoa, this is so awesome. But you can now take a PDF, and on the marketing team, we have PDFs all the time we're collaborating on. And sometimes they go back and forth via email, or sometimes they go on Trello or something else. And inside the PDF, you can add comments at any location. So you can say, I don't like the image right here, move it down a little bit, remove this word here, we need to change up the messaging here. And so you can do total collaboration now on PDF documents right there in the same system that you're communicating on. And we do our one-on-ones in our one-on-one kind of agenda items in Workplace. And so having something like that just flow right in allows us to not go to multiple systems to look and collaborate on multiple things. So it's pretty cool, all the things that you can do to collaborate in it.
I think what it is, in taking that step back and looking at what has happened over the last several weeks and months with COVID, Facebook has been the connector for the organization or workplace. It's allowed the organization to continue to operate and stay essentially virtually sitting right next to someone, even though they may be states away. And at the end of the day, that's the culture that you want to develop. You want to pull people in where they feel like they have a purpose, that they're working with people that they want to work with, that they enjoy what they do every day. And it gives you that sense of belonging, or that tribal sense of coming together that I think so many companies need and are struggling with throughout this process, because all they've got is phone calls or video calls or email. And this is that other mechanism that really does make the difference in the culture, being able to stay at that high level of operating maturity, rather than it being kind of diluted as a part of everybody being a part.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the culture piece. Workplace has been a big piece of our culture, I feel like, since it's been implemented. It's not just working between teams, and it's not just a way to facilitate an outcome as far as work goes. Workplace for our organization has been around our culture too. How does that drive our culture? How does it drive interconnectivity between the different people and all the different things that we all enjoy, even outside of work itself. We have groups within JMarc's workplace that aren't just about, what team you're in or what physical location you're in, but it also helps drive our culture around, what are some common interests that people like? We have a lot of techs, let's get real, they like gaming. There's spaces for that we can talk about and still feel connected with all the people that are things we may normally enjoy having conversations about in person or just in passing. It's been really great to make sure that people can still be connected at that level too, not just because of work.
I think the word connectedness is the key to this, and I think that's why it's been such a valuable tool in our culture, is because, I work in Texas, and even though before COVID I was coming to the office on a very regular basis and meeting people, usually when I'm there, I'm in meetings and involved in work I need to get done, and I don't get a chance to interact with a lot of people and really get to know people. And Workplace has allowed a level of connectedness that I've never had at any other company I've been with, and especially with people who I rarely work with. Just being able to see their faces and interact with them. And some people might think this is weird, but it's the little things like a GIF or a meme that sometimes you can share and people comment on, and it's things like that where communication can be so dry and tone deaf, especially written communication, and somebody can respond in ways that just make you laugh. And there are so many times when I am just laughing alone in my office because of something somebody threw into a chat or something somebody threw in a group or something, and it's just adding to that connectedness. And that connectedness, kind of the byproduct is a culture that people love and that people want to be a part of, and that people want to just be a part of and contribute to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on that note, one of the areas that it's got a lot of power is in video. So whether it's a platform like this, like Zoom, that we can stream into Workplace, or whether it's just going live on Workplace directly and sharing a post, I think it's really powerful. We've now gone to an environment inside the organization where we're creating a post every week from the different departments about the heads up that people need to have. Hey, this project is going on. This is a moving piece in the organization. This client is getting ready to shift locations, or there's a challenge going on that we need to all be aware of, whatever the case may be. But it's that video that really allows someone to connect with another person in the organization, like you were talking about, Todd, whether it's sure a GIF or whatever, but when you can hear someone and see someone's facial expressions, the emotion behind it, the pride that they may have in a win that's going on inside the company, all of those things come out, and that's what helps to pull everybody together. And because it's native in the platform and it's native in a mobile environment as well. So if you're sitting waiting to pick up your kids from a sporting event or school or whatever it may be, you can pull that up and you can get the latest news and statuses of what may be going on in different areas of the company. So it's awesome to be able to see and interact in that way as well.
Yeah, those same experiences, not to confuse the two, but those same experiences that you get from your own personal Facebook where, you're connecting with family or you're connecting with friends, like people will post videos, people will post pictures. You can get that same type of experience where, like Todd said, it's not just dry words. There's emotion behind it, there's feeling behind it, and that's a totally different level of connectivity that you just don't get out of an email or just chat. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know for you and Todd both, you could probably speak better to this from a leadership level, like being able to go live and have a communication with the entire organization about, this is what's going on, this is what we're dealing with. I mean, that's something that, you just can't get out of an email.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so seamless too. it's so quick to go from us chatting in a chat to clicking a button and being face to face on a video if something needs to be talked about quicker. And the the stand-ups, every single day there are people throughout the organization having stand-ups via video, 15-minute meetings, or our company meeting that we have on Fridays now, the rallies where everybody in the company is joining and watching through Zoom or Workplace. It just allows everybody to really connect and just get so much done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and on the note of the separation, I think it's probably just worthy of a quick commentary around the security practices that Workplace has in place. I think a lot of people associate social style networks with security problems and those challenges, but it's important to point out that Workplace has put in some of the top level security protocols and capabilities of all the platforms that are out there. So they're interacting with financial institutions. Some of the largest corporations in the world use Workplace and trust the data that's behind it. They've gone through the SOC 2, the SOC 3, the IEEE. All of the certifications and accreditations are necessary are put in place, and so it is something that you can use and trust from a security management practice as well.
Yeah, I sent some of the security information over to a client yesterday that was asking about that very question, and just the lists of accreditations and knowing how difficult those are to get, because that's one of the things that I've been doing the last couple of years at JMark. It's amazing. I mean, you have to have some really tight controls to get everything that they have, and it's SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3, ISO, multiple ISOs, and there's GDPR and Swiss, US privacy regulations, and EU and US privacy regulations, and there's just a whole slew of things they do and to make sure that it's secure. And if it wasn't, that would be a big downside to their whole platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you think about what's happening in an environment where you could be talking about 20 people collaborating in a platform, or literally thousands and thousands of people collaborating in a platform, all coming together, security's got to be at the foundation of it, but so does productivity and usability. And so when you marry all of those things together, you end up with a kind of a special environment that really does facilitate kind of the best of all worlds.
So from a leadership perspective, Tom, what are some of the ways that you use Workplace to reach out and connect with the whole company or with individuals within the company now that you're essentially separated from everybody, during this time?
Yeah, so which kind of drives me crazy, by the way, because I like being connected with people, and so that separation is rough. But my antidote, if you will, has been our ability to connect through Workplace, and the answer is both through the video conversations that we've talked about, or pulling people together in these instant conversations, collaborations, in groups or teams. In the business development area of the organization, we have a virtual stand-up every day where we're not actually getting on a video call, but we're going into a group and we're sharing the things that we have going on and any impediments that we may have. And that's one of the first things that happens on a daily basis. And so I have vision into the business development team. If somebody on that team is having an impediment or having a challenge or doesn't know how to solve a problem, we could knock that out first thing in the day and then move on. And so it's not just about being connected, because I enjoy, if you will, reading into the team of what's going on here, or what's going on in marketing, or what's going on in service, or with the CRM team, or the admin team, whatever it may be. You get vision into all these areas, but you're also removing the impediments that slow business down and accelerating people. When you start to see people who feel like they're not productive in business, it's a normal practice for people to feel like I can't get anything done. Every time I turn the corner, I have another wall, I have another barrier. But Workplace has really allowed us to remove a lot of those impediments really quickly, so that we can keep people moving where they feel like they're making a difference, they feel like they're productive. And that drives that positive culture. When people feel like they're contributing they feel successful, and they're proud of what they are doing in a larger team and organization. And that pulls the company together. So from my perspective, one of my favorite things is to see that happening when I wouldn't necessarily have ever had vision to it otherwise. Like, all this stuff would have been going on. It's like I would have been oblivious to it. And now I have almost daily, hourly vision into these awesome things that are going on in the company, where I can give somebody the high five, I can celebrate, I can point it out in a company meeting, whatever it may be, because there is so much good work going on.
I've thought about it a little bit, but one of the things I've struggled with over the last, 6 months or a year is when we have a weekly meeting with the marketing team, and I've changed the format up many, many times for that weekly meeting. And the reason why is because we didn't have problems, like impediments that generally will come into a weekly meeting. And I finally realized that through the act of doing the one-on-ones the way we're doing, we're talking essentially face-to-face in 4 different states through Workplace, and we're solving our problems in 15 minutes and then having sidelines right after that. We get to the point of a team meeting, and now we can be a lot more strategic in our meetings. We can talk about long-term problems and not the short-term problems that typically will cog the agenda of a team. And it's allowed us to be much more efficient and strategic and look at our metrics and look at things that'll make progress and move things forward, because we've been able to pull those problems out and deal with them on a daily basis in a few minutes rather than let them pile up. So it's been a huge time saver from that standpoint.
There's no doubt that the platform helps to facilitate an acceleration inside the organization that I think is hard to put your hand on. It is, we're fortunate to have a really strong board of directors who come in and help make strategic decisions, advice, risk management, all of these things. And one of the things that consistently comes out of our meeting is the board's essentially blown away or surprised at how much work gets done between board meeting to board meeting. Like, you guys execute like nobody's business. You say you're going to do it and you get it done. You say you're going to do it, you get it done. You say you're going to do it, you get it done. And I think part of that is removing these impediments and solving these problems quickly within the Workplace platform. And because we're so connected, it's easy to do.
On that same note, as far as being more efficient around things and streamlining that whole process, even through all of this, over the past couple of months, we've actually had new employees start. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from those employees on how cool it is that we have this platform, because so many of those little nuances that takes, months, even a year for new people to get their heads around in a new organization, like how these processes work, who does what, where do I find these things? Like, Workplace has streamlined that for new hires coming into the organization, that they can pick that up so much faster. And they have a wide open space to see, these people belong to these groups and these teams. These are people that I can go to quickly, find them quickly, and go to them quickly and continue on whatever I'm working on, because I know where to find help. Where without something like that, it's a lot more challenging to bring on a new employee into a workspace that they're just not familiar with.
It reminds me of in our process of rolling out Workplace to a client the last couple of weeks, we generally start, or the way we roll it out is in a kind of a methodical way, and get champions involved, get the executive team involved, and somehow word started getting around, and we had people, hey, how do I get on? How do I get on? How do I join? How do I join? It's like, well, it's not your time yet. Just calm down. And people were just so excited because the people around them were excited, and they were getting excited because it's such an easy platform. You get on it and you know how to operate it. I mean, there's nuances, there's things you can do that you obviously can't do in Facebook or some other platform, but it's just so easy. The learning curve to get on it is so low that most people could get right on it and gravitate towards it really quick.
Yep, it's pretty easy to navigate through. And then on that same piece, like I was saying with new hires, that's one of the first platforms where we even announced that we have new hires. So not only is it an introduction to that person to our company, it's an introduction to the rest of the company about this person. Part of that, I hate using the word process, but it is part of it. Part of bringing them on to JMark is we make a post like, hey, here's Bob. Here's a little bit about Bob. And Bob tells everybody about himself. It's cool. I mean, it may not, it's something that you probably wouldn't get to have otherwise. I mean, if I see an email about, yay long, I may get all of it. I may not get all of it, but that person can also post a picture. I know what this person looks like. They can tell me some things about themselves, what they're doing at our company, some of the things they enjoy doing. And it makes being connected to that person a lot easier because now I know a little bit about them and some of the things they enjoy doing.
Yeah, and the thing that a lot of this connects to that I want to make sure that people listening or watching understand is that it's not, the connectedness and the fun and the interests are kind of part of the journey. Mm-hmm. And as all of that is happening, we are getting a crap load of stuff done because relationships are improved, because communication is improved, because clarity is improved, uncertainty is diminished. It's just things are going so much faster for us, which is ultimately affecting the bottom line.
Well, I think you kind of nailed it there, Todd. I mean, when you really break down people and how things get done, it's all based on relationships and trust. And what Workplace helps to do is to create the connections that facilitate the relationships. So, like you said, Kristen, whether it's I don't know who to go to, and now I do know who to go to in order to solve a problem because there is a connection, because it's easy to develop the relationship. And I think that's really kind of the foundation of what is facilitated in this platform overall. It is the connection to the relationship or in the foundation of the relationship that really pulls people together so that they feel comfortable even being vulnerable or hey, I made a mistake and I need some help, or I need to overcome this problem. Because when there's trust in a team, in a relationship, you can work together to overcome mistakes, to overcome challenges, to get real with your teammates about some things that may be going on or something you haven't been able to solve. And so I think pulling all of those things together, it kind of sums up in relationship.
Yeah, and I know we've kind of focused around what a lot of people are referring to as the new norm, being not in the office, but even before this, using this platform, because a lot of what my current role at JMark does is I'm not in the office a lot anyway. I'm not sitting at a desk consistently. This allows me to keep a pulse on things as well, and not have to be sitting in front of my laptop. I can be out doing what I need to do, but also stay connected that way too.
Yeah, we had a leadership meeting maybe a month ago, or maybe it wasn't that long, where somebody was mentioning that it seems that the culture has actually, and maybe culture wasn't the right word, but maybe connectedness would be a better word, but he said culture had actually improved over the course of this time because I don't know if this situation as it's happened in the world has allowed people to break down a barrier and to be more real, and Workplace has been that platform that we can be real over. And so over the course of this time, I think it's been a leveling up for the whole company in terms of our culture and connectedness to bring us together. And as we move back to the office and maybe more of a hybrid situation, I think that's only going to get better and better. It's not about it's not a platform that's just for being remote, but it's a platform that has allowed us to level up our connectedness, whether we are close together or in a remote situation.
Well, we're talking about, roughly 120 people operating in 9 states now. And so while in our organization, it's important to pull people together no matter where they are, you can have 2 people that are sitting right next to one another who still have a problem communicating. And whether that's occurring or whether you've got geography in your way to make collaboration successful, having that central platform that's easy to work with, easy to understand. And Kristen, something that you said that I think is pretty important is that when you bring somebody new into an organization, if it's really hard to learn the preferences of a company, then it's really hard to get the cultural feel, to know how, whether it's email or whether it's other platforms, it's really challenging. But with Workplace, they can come in and they can go back and they can watch and look at the history of the company. They can see some of the company meetings or the rallies that we've had as an organization. And so they know very quickly how to use the platform because it's similar in interface to Facebook. But once they're in there, they can also digest the culture. And it's like, oh, this is the company that I wanted to be a part of. This is the culture that I'm proud that I'm now joining. And so I think that history and the foundation of what that provides for people really is a lot more powerful than we realize, because I've had multiple people who have joined the company and they're like, oh, I went back and I saw this video from a couple of weeks ago, or I went back and I saw this company meeting. It was awesome. I love that. And so there's a lot of power associated with that.
It just occurred to me over the last couple of years that we've been using Workplace, and our use of it has, of course, ramped up during that time, but I've brought on 3 different people into the marketing team in 2 different states, actually, and then other people have joined the marketing team from another state, all while I'm in a different state. And sure, we get together at time to time, face to face, but it's the video communication and the constant collaboration that makes it feel like we are right next to each other. And on the marketing team, we kind of have an unspoken rule that video is always on during marketing meetings or during one-on-ones. And there's just something to be said about the face-to-face, and face-to-face for us has transformed to video camera to video camera. It's not so much, breathing next to each other, but I guess we're practicing good social distancing. But it's allowed us to really see the emotions, and me as a manager to help people and understand how they're feeling with that connectedness, and by using the platform and video and chat and everything. And you can kind of read into people's messages and different things with the platform in different ways. And it just allowed me to go, hey, are you doing okay? And allowed to connect better and manage better.
Yeah, there's no doubt that one of JMark's strong points, I think, has always been people first, technology second. And this platform allows us to practice that on a daily basis because it puts people first. And in today's world, if you think about how everything is not just happening recently, but over the last 10 years, as an example, technology has been the center point of connections. So how do you connect with loved ones? How do you connect with friends? How do you connect inside your organization? Well, technology is the center of that. And so I think it becomes very powerful when that center technology connection point is a platform that facilitates all of these wonderful things that we've talked about, whether it's video, whether it's chat, whether it's a group collaboration, whether it's searching, whether it's historical data. all in a secure environment that is healthy for a company to come together, it not only becomes the connection point for a company and an organization, it becomes something that people are excited about joining and being connected to. It's not a chore. It's kind of a gift. It's kind of fun in terms of oh, I want to see what's going on with this team. I'm glad to know, and it's just a different way to work.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've probably we could talk for hours, the three of us, on the different ways we use collaboration and workplace. There's so many different tactics. Last week we were recording little vignette videos on the marketing team, and we were just we weren't running out of ideas. There's so many little features and ways to collaborate and work together in workplace. But we definitely invite those that would like to learn more to reach out to us. Just go to our website, fill out a form, and you'll have somebody contact you within the hour. It's a great platform, and JMarc's a great company that definitely knows how to use it. And we welcome any questions or any requests. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Guys. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for attending this podcast. We hope it has been informative and helped convey that at JMarc, we are people first and technology second. To learn more and discover additional content relevant to your business, please visit us online at jmarc.com or at LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You may also call us at 844-44-JMarc. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again.